Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Centuries ago, there was a fearful darkness in the world. Then there was a spark of life and of light. And it was when a monk first spoke his own mind against the powers that be and against the pressures of the entire world. His inflamed execution was the flicker that lit a flame that burned across time and singed history ever since. Even today, we sit back in the afterglow of his sacrifice and we enjoy the freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is a derived freedom, inexorably linked with other aspects of freedom. It is not most fundamental. It is on par with the freedom to assemble, the freedom of the press, the freedom to redress our grievances without retribution. And on the same level, our private property rights, intellectual property rights, and personal business interests. Each of these categories find expression in all of mankind and is part of the essence of our creaturehood. We were created as intelligently self-aware beings, and we really can't be otherwise. You know, this is reflected in the internal conversations that we have with ourselves, our most private thoughts. Can you imagine for a moment how it would be if our own internal conversations were to cease? Gone would be questions like, what is itching my toe? Or, does she really love me? Or, how did I blow that so bad? These types of questions, if these types of questions vanished from our conscience, our humanity would disappear as well. We were created with a sense of ethics and individual will. We have soul liberty. It is mankind's most fundamental individual private possession. From it, all others flow. Now, did you get that? I am relating private property rights with the freedom of speech. Do you still wonder how they're connected? They're connected in the inalienable right to possess oneself. Our life and our thoughts are our most valued private possession. All else flows from that point. So therefore, a friend might help another build a house or a business, but the owner of that endeavor can say, I built that. In the same manner, one can conceive of something and it is their idea. Business and personal philosophy are intertwined within the person as their own individual private possession. In spite of these uber-obvious facts, totalitarianism still exists and thrives in many governments and within many world religions. It can be summed up in the notion, convert or die. It can also be expressed in, unless you change your mind, you will be marginalized, minimized, and demonized. Stated another way, it's my way or the highway. Under the threat of life, the loss of liberty or the ability to pursue happiness, violence is wrought upon another's conscience. Stealing another's individual private possession by forced compliance to some authority of power or majority mob with consensus. At a basic level, this quest to dominate is deeply rooted in the hearts of men and women the world over. Without gracious external influence and constraint, we lose our external civility and we expose that we are violent and coercive at heart. Also, growth of an idea is not a guarantee that the idea is sound. Freedom of speech does not guarantee that all speech is equal. Not all ideas spoken about have equal merit, in spite of the fervor of one's conviction. Simply stated, not every idea is a good idea. Not everything that you want to say needs to be said. Principle, purpose, and restraint find an equilibrium in true wisdom. Now, the fragility of freedom makes it easy to abuse. We often become unwittingly injured parties by our own failings, reaping what we've sown. A brief survey of the life of Roger Williams and the founding of the Rhode Island colony provides a suitable historical backdrop of how individuals in the pursuit of freedoms can run afoul amidst their own inconsistencies. It was his unacceptable speech, his forced excommunication and exile from the freedom-seeking pilgrims of the Mass Bay colony that led him to Rhode Island and led to the freedoms that we now hold so dear. If we don't know our own history, we are doomed to repeat it, as the saying goes. It is interesting how children often reflect the perspectives that all of history started when they were born. As we mature, we tend to press back that simplistic and monocentric view of the world. But you know, when life really gets busy and hectic, don't we find ourselves falling back into that childish rut over and over again? And when someone lifts our eyes beyond the here and now, we can see more broadly. It is incumbent upon those to whom much has been given to guide those whose primary strength is their zeal, lest history's cycles of darkness return upon us again. A change of perspective often corrects and realigns our thinking. So today, in contemporary American society, there are polarizing ideas. They run the gamut, including the morality of abortion, taxation, same-sex marriage, meat eating, even the kinds of meat to eat. Some demand beef. Some say eat more chicken. Individuals and institutions have the right to make their own choices and include or exclude any number of these issues from the menu of their thoughts. However, if a hallmark principle is denied in practice, it demonstrates an inherent ideological inconsistency, a broken logic, and does violence to the soul liberties of everyone involved. So then I ask the question, can a population of an avowed, all-inclusive organization exclude anyone and remain inclusive?